You know that feeling, right? When you're just stuck in this fog of confusion, where nothing seems clear and everything feels like a mixed signal? Well, today, we're going to talk about the specific words that help us make sense of all that ambiguity. This is all about the vocabulary of fog and friction.
It's such a common feeling, isn't it? Maybe you're reading a really dense article or trying to make a big life decision, and you just hit this wall of haze. It's like information overload just blurs everything together, and trying to find a clear path forward feels almost impossible. But here's the thing. The words we're looking at today are way more than just definitions you have to memorize. Think of them as your tools. They're like a compass to help you find your direction, and a flashlight to cut right through that darkness. They give you the power to not just get lost in the fog, but to actually stop, look at it, and understand it with real precision.
So if we're going to fight the fog, the first thing we have to do is understand what it's made of. Let's start with the words that help us describe the haze itself. You know, the different shapes that unclarity can take.
Okay, so right at the heart of this whole thing is the word ambiguous. This isn't just about something being fuzzy or unclear. No, this is when a statement or maybe a situation can be understood in multiple and often contradictory ways. It's really the core source of all that friction we feel.
And this is where we can get really specific, because not all fog is the same, right? An idea might be amorphous, just totally shapeless, you can't get a grip on it. Or a concept could be abstruse, meaning it's intentionally made to be complex and hard to understand. And then some information is arcane. It's kind of hidden away, secret knowledge that only a few insiders have. See? Each word pinpoints a totally unique kind of haze.
This is a fantastic example of how ambiguity can be a strategy, not just some accident. When a speaker is deliberately vague like this, they can avoid committing to anything. They basically force the audience to just guess what they really mean. So in this case, the fog is literally being manufactured for a reason.
Okay, so now we can describe the fog out there in the world. But what about the friction it creates inside of us? Let's dig into the words we use for how we feel and act when we're caught in all that uncertainty. And here is the crucial link. If ambiguity is what's happening on the outside, then ambivalence is our internal reaction to it. It's that mental tug of war, you know? When you can see the pros and the cons so clearly that you're just frozen right in the middle. That's the personal friction that ambiguity causes.
So what do we do when we're in this fog? Well, we tend to adopt a certain posture. We might become agnostic, kind of like shrugging your shoulders and admitting you just don't know the final answer. Or maybe we become aloof. We cross our arms and create some emotional distance as a way to protect ourselves. And finally, we might become circumspect, like we're cautiously scanning everything with binoculars before we dare take even a single step.
This is a perfect real-world scenario. The stock market is foggy, it's uncertain. So what's the smart move? To be circumspect. You don't just rush in. You watch, you wait, and you manage the risk that comes from not having a clear view of what's coming next.
You know, sometimes the key to cutting through the fog isn't about staring into the haze itself. It's about spotting the things that just don't fit. An outlier can be like a bright flare that pierces right through the confusion. This next set of words is your toolkit for spotting what feels a little off.
So, our central tool here is the anomaly. Think of it like a blip on a radar screen, or a data point that just completely breaks the pattern. It's that one thing that makes you stop and question the whole picture, signaling that maybe your assumptions are wrong.
But anomaly is just our starting point. An aberration is a departure from the norm that's usually not a good thing. Something that's atypical is just not standard, but there's no negative vibe attached. Then we get into the dimension of time. An anachronistic detail is something that's jarringly out of its proper time period, while archaic or antediluvian refers to something so incredibly old it's almost forgotten today.
I love this example. It makes the concept perfectly clear. The night is an anomaly, for sure, but the specific kind of anomaly is an anachronism. A figure from the past just dropped right into the present. That stark contrast instantly tells you that something is fundamentally out of place.
All right, let's have a little fun with a few words that actually describe the sources of the fog and friction, the chaotic things that create all the confusion in the first place. An arbitrary decision, one that's just based on a random whim, throws everything into chaos. A capricious leader who changes their mind for no reason creates constant uncertainty. You could even argue that a bovine or totally placid response to that chaos creates its own kind of friction, while an astral or starry-eyed view might just ignore the fog on the ground completely. Each one is a different kind of wild card.
Okay, so we've described the fog, we've navigated it, we've even spotted things that don't fit inside it. Now for the final and most powerful step, how do we actively cut through that fog and create clarity both for ourselves and for other people? Here we have two of the absolute best tools for creating clarity. To explain something complex, you can present its antithesis, its direct opposite. This creates understanding through a really sharp contrast. Or you can find an analogous case, a simpler, more relatable situation to create clarity through comparison. So one explains by defining what something isn't, and the other explains by showing what it's like.
And really, this is what it all boils down to. This is why mastering vocabulary is so important. It's not about memorizing words for a test. It's about being precise in your own thinking. When you can put a name to the exact type of fog you're in, you've already taken the biggest and most important step toward finding your way out.
So there you have it. You've got the tools now. A compass, a flashlight, a map. You have the words to pinpoint ambiguity, to navigate your own ambivalence, and to build clearer arguments. So the only question left is, what fog are you going to clear first?